WA's Premier Roger Cook has become the latest Labor Premier to demand the RBA cut interest rates. Mr Cook, along with Queensland's Stephen Miles and Victoria's Jacinta Allan, have all demanded a cut to help families cope with the cost of living pressures. The RBA will meet for the first time this year next Tuesday and is expected to keep rates on hold. New segment for us this year, folks, where we'll test the views of politicians to see how they compare from the regions to the city. National Senator Bridget McKenzie and the Independent MP Zali Steggall. Good morning to you. Let's start with that story right there. These three Labor premiers demanding the RBA cut interest rates next week, completely out of their lane. But here we are. Bridget, what do you think about these premiers basically bullying the RBA or trying to?
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. Great to be with you and your viewers. I mean, I can tell you one thing, Michele Bullock and the RBA Board will not be taking economic advice from these wasteful Labor premiers. It's like the arsonist actually getting on the phone and calling the fire brigade to come in. These are the guys and girls that have spent like drunken sailors. In my own home state here in Victoria, we're going to have a debt in excess of 180 billion in a couple of years, thanks to Dan Andrews and Jacinta Allan. So the RBA is going to take a very measured approach, as they should, and they shouldn't be bullied, they shouldn't be coerced, they shouldn't be cajoled by premiers and other politicians who are just seeking to make political gains out of it.
Zali, what are your thoughts on this? The premiers have no power in this, but is it an unnecessary distraction for Michele Bullock, or are you with them and you think there should be cuts?
Well, you'll have Bridget and I agreeing on this. The beauty about the RBA, the Reserve Bank, is it's an independent body, and it's very important for that. We've just had a review, in fact, of the powers of the Reserve Bank and the RBA in the importance of its independence so that it can manage that policy and interest rates. So whilst I know we are all struggling and many in the community are hurting from the interest rate rises, they are absolutely independent of government. And so it's really important that governments, state governments and federal government focus on the policies they can control when it comes to assisting cost of living and the pressures on inflation. But no, the RBA is it's its own responsibility when it comes to the interest rates.
OK, Zali, since we last spoke, are you any more or less likely to support Labor's rejigged tax cuts?
Well, I guess since we last spoke, it's been interesting to hear the commentary of understanding where the coalition's going to sit on this. I understand many, actually in the Nationals, Bridget can maybe inform us, that there is a moving view from the coalition. So I still haven't seen any draft legislation from the government. I understand there's negotiations with the Greens and the coalition. So I really want to see where these land. But I should say, Peter, I'm getting lots of great feedback from the community. Some people very upset, but some people understanding the need to provide more assistance to others that are on lower incomes.
I was Bridget, I was talking to your colleague Matt Canavan earlier this week, and he was more inclined to amend but ultimately support or get behind these changes. What do you think? Is that your view, or are you steadfast in basically standing by your views and not supporting?
Well, Pete, these were structural changes to actually address bracket creep, and unfortunately the government's plan does nothing to address bracket creep in this country, and we're going to see another 1 million Australian workers paying more tax as a result heading into 2030 than the plan that is currently legislated. And it does nothing to deal with inflation, which is what everyone that's a mortgage holder or a renter is paying a crippling cost for right now. When it comes to the plan, Shadow Cabinet's going to consider it. We want to see the detail, like Zali. We haven't seen an exposure draft. We want to understand the impact, and then we'll obviously have more to say about that. But the reality is we want to see structural reform to our tax system in the long term so that Australians are paying lower tax overall and that it's a fairer system and they can spend their money as they need. And I think what's useful to remember is that this plan does nothing to actually deal with the inflationary pressures that people are dealing with right now as they're sitting down at their kitchen tables working out how they're going to pay the school fees, how they're going to pay the swimming fees and the mortgage at the same time. All
right, similar views this morning. Zali, just a quick local issue for you. You want the popular Balgowlah Golf Club to be shut and repurposed. Are you opening up a class war of your own and picking on golfers?
Well, I think that's a Telegraph and 2GB misrepresenting a few things. The PNC approached me because they were blindsided by a consultation process happening over the school holidays when no one in the school community was there around the plans for the Balgala Golf Course. Now, I should say that Balgala Golf Course has been on notice for 4 years that it was to be transitioned to a public space for all the community to use, not just paying golfers, and sporting fields, of which we have a great shortage. So I've obtained an extension to the consultation period so the whole community can have their say. But should I say, Chris Minns seems to be very, his government has canned funding for the revamp of Balgala Boys School, and this is the top performing non-selective public school in New South Wales. And I invite Chris Minns and Minister Carr to come and visit Balgala Boys and check out the conditions, and maybe Chris O'Keefe on 2GB
well,
as well.
I mean, the golf club is used by kids as well. You know, a great variety of the good public in Warringah.
Sure, but we actually, within a 5-kilometre radius, we have 3 public golf courses available. So, and I have no issue with golf, but we have no shortage of golf fields, of public fields. Lower North Shore, we have, I think, 8, including 8, a number of private ones as well. What we do have is a shortage of sporting fields and a public high school that is performing phenomenally. The teachers, the boys do a fantastic job, but their facilities are not up for scratch. So I think it's important the community gets its say in what is more important for the future, our young men. What kind of opportunities are they getting?
The consultation period, I'm going to close here, but the consultation period, you've argued for that to be extended. So your view on this is fixed, that you want the golf club gone, that you want it to be used, but for the schools to use it?
Well, no, I think that's misrepresenting what I'm saying. I'm saying the community needs to get its say of what's more important,
right,
what's the more important
view?
use of. Well, I think there is a case to be said that we need better facilities for our youth, and that probably, when we have so many public golf courses already, is not that. But again, I will stand by the community's wishes, which is why the consultation period is so important.
Zali, Bridget, good to have you with us this Friday morning. Have a great weekend.